Welcome, everybody, to the Behind the Lava Lava podcast. We are Fiapoko Samoan men that like to share our opinion on things through our unique perspective. We're glad that you're joining us here today. I'm going to be the host for today, Spencer Harman. We've got Michael, T, and Ati. And today we're joined by Dave Parker of Parker Films, and who's an entrepreneur who has just decided to pick up the camera and learn the ins and outs of starting a film company. And I'm very intrigued by his story. He's got a very insightful one to share with us. And so thank you for joining us, and we'll go ahead and get right into that.
Thanks for having me.
So Dave, could you tell us about where you grew up? Basically, for our listeners, your humble beginnings.
Yeah, so I was born in Samoa. My village is in Fungale. For people that don't know where Fungale is, it's where the market is in town. So I was born there as a child, but then I was raised up in New Zealand, in Auckland. So me and my family, we were back and forth from Samoa, back to New Zealand, back and forth to Samoa again. So, but most of my teen and adult life was in New Zealand. And then currently now residing here in Brisbane, Australia.
And your parents are from the same village?
Dad's from Taptapo, and my mother's from American Samoa.
Oh, okay. And what inspired you to start into this career path as a film director?
I think this goes way back, like when I was in New Zealand. Like when I used to watch like music videos, like especially our own people coming out with their music videos, I would always be like, man, that would be cool to do something, just shoot a music video. But in my mind, I was thinking, man, it was so expensive. You got to have, all the Hollywood gears, the lighting and the big cameras. So I had interest in it years before. I think when it just comes to like church gatherings and one day in church, you would have you have someone that editing videos, or, having a fun day, and I'll just think about, man, that'd be awesome if I could. I would love to get into, putting a family video together and editing it and just showcase my work. But nothing was done. It was just stuck on my mind for years, and until one day, 2018, it was in the month of November. On YouTube, I started to get into travel videos. Like I've been seeing these travel cinematic videos that's been posted. And then I'll be just finding out what type of camera these travelers would be using. So from then, and I asked my wife, look, I'll be keen to do something like this. This is something that I've wanted to do for a long time. I wasn't working that time. It was just before the pandemic, actually. Like people just lost their jobs. I was doing warehousing at that time, did other jobs like call center, warehousing, and then, got laid off. A lot of us got laid off, and then, there was no work, and then it was only my wife working. And I said, hey, this would be nice for me to get into, right? Obviously, no money. And I said, should we get a loan? So, I don't know how I got approved from the bank, but I got approved for a loan. I just went and bought a camera. For the camera, the basics, the kit lens, invested 5K into it, from the loan that I got. And I started shooting events. I think I shot 2 church events, and this was in December of 2018. I did 2, and then I just left it. I didn't do anything after that because I think I just got frustrated of trying to learn the camera, because when I was shooting, I just had no idea of what I was doing. I just copied this guy's camera settings from YouTube, put it on my camera, and I just pressed record. So, and this is me, I didn't know how to edit. I had to find a free program that I could just edit instead of paying, a monthly subscription like Premiere Pro. So I found DaVinci Resolve is what I'm editing on now. It's a free software, but if you want to upgrade to the paid version, it's a one-off payment. So, but I was on the free version to start off. That's the only reason why I went to Premiere after DaVinci Resolve, because Premiere Pro is a popular editing software for a lot of creators, but I didn't want to pay that monthly subscription. So I chose DaVinci. The searching was looking like free software. So I had to not only learn how to shoot, learn how to do the camera settings, I had to learn also how to edit. So I think after doing 2 shoots for a church event, I just left it. So I didn't do any shooting until 2019, mid 2019. My wife says, "Hey, what's this camera doing in this bag? You know, we don't get the loan for nothing. You better pick it up and do something with it." So I had to get to learn, you know, my craft and learn my camera settings, and then I've invested a lot of time into learning my camera. So I just went there, started shooting, and then fast forward to 2022. Here I am now.
Hey, Dave, appreciate you joining us, man. Thank you, for taking the time to chop it up with us. I know you mentioned that you took the time off to learn your camera. Now, I know you said that you didn't have no background at all with, that's somewhat of a big, transition from, I'm not too sure. You say you're working in a warehouse and, for your former job. Now, when you were learning how to work on the camera, were you like just watching YouTube videos or, taking lessons from anybody, or was that something that kind of like, I don't know, how, depending on what type of equipment you were using, was it something sophisticated or something that's, if you could talk more up on it.
Yeah, so YouTube, I watch a lot of YouTube. For me, when it comes to learning things, I can sometimes just lose focus easy, so that's why it took me, like, I bought the camera in 2018 in November. That's when I bought it. But after the 2 shoots in December for the church gathering, I left it. I didn't do no shoots at all until mid 2019. That's when I started to get into it. So I had to start learning. I got this camera and it's just money wasted. So I just really had to get myself motivated to learn the camera settings and watch a lot of YouTube. And at first, I was just it was hard to find another Pacific Islander like myself that's into the same passion, until I started an Instagram page, and then I started doing some work, like a rugby league events, and then started to get some French requests from other Samoan, other Pacific Island creators. So, and from there, when I connected with these guys, I started to ask them millions of questions, how come my footage doesn't look cinematic like this, that kind of stuff. So that's like a long story short.
No, that's pretty great. Like, I love in your intro, there's quite a bit to unpack there. I know you said that with the pandemic and things shutting down, you said you lost your job from the COVID shutdown and whatnot.
Yeah.
Would you say that, because that was a hard time for everybody. Everybody was kind of shuffling the deck. A lot of people lost their jobs. A lot of people were trying to figure life out again. Or in my case, I actually had a job that fortunately could keep going. I was a trucker at the time, and that industry has to keep moving, pandemic or not. So my job was safe. But would you say that in a way, having to lose your job, which is never a fun thing, that's kind of a nervous thing, especially when you're a provider, but would you say that was the kick you needed to put you in the right direction to pursue something you're passionate about?
I think it was the right time. Actually, the funny thing is, the worst time to do things, but it was the right time. Like my wife was the one that's working. And she really pushed. She really believed in me to pursue what I wanted to do. So when I got it, then here I was wanting to do all this years back, and then not doing anything after when I got it. So it really put some sense in me to really get this going and give it a go. If it didn't work, then I'll sell the camera and get my what I can, and just go back to normal 9-to-5 job. And there's nothing wrong with that. It's a passion thing that I love doing. But being able to make a living out of it now is it's just awesome. So yeah.
Could you tell us of some highlights of your career from 2018, to the present day, what moments are your highlights? What are you proud of?
The highlights would be working with an eyewear brand, L.eyes Eyewear. Like, it was funny because L.eyes Eyewear, I'm not sure, have you heard of this company, L.eyes Eyewear? So
I haven't. No.
No? Okay. They're like, they do like the Samoan design, Southern eyewear, Maori, all Pacific Islanders. Like, if you go, I'll send the page. Like, yeah, they do all sorts of type of sunglasses. Like, it's just awesome. Like, carvings, on the side of the temples, I think. But yeah, I linked up with him, and then I said, look, I'm getting into videos now. If you need a promo video, just let me know. Sure enough, time went on. Hey, he reached out and said, look, we're looking for a promo video. And I was like, okay, cool. Yeah, I'll be keen to come in and shoot it. So we connected. We started off with my first video was the Aboriginal sunglasses. So yeah, that was my first promo video. That's where it really kicked off. My professional level started from there. And then ever since that first promo, they were happy with it. And then, the more work that I got from this company, the more better I got. Like, I started to learn, like, how to, edit a lot better, exposing my camera settings better, angles and that all kind of stuff, because I was getting busy getting work from L.eyes Eyewear. They're a Māori couple as well. And they're based here in Brisbane, 10 minutes drive from my house. So ever since then, my work got a lot better and people started recognizing it, and then just been doing, different shoots like other brands like gym stuff. Another highlight is doing work for Fresh TV. You've heard those guys, Fresh TV? So
Yeah, for us here in the US, we're not really familiar with Fresh TV. No, for me,
actually, that's our biggest connection is Fresh TV via YouTube.
Yeah, Fresh TV.
A lot of highlights from
So they're based in New Zealand, Auckland, New Zealand, and it's the biggest. I think it is the biggest Polynesian hub. I believe that's from what they're posting. So they've been around for many years since I was was a teen. So, but just getting some work from them. Like, so they're based in New Zealand. They would get me to shoot some celebrities here, local, upcoming celebrities that's coming up. That was another highlight, like doing some work with these guys. It was just a massive for me, I'm not sure what's the popular TV network, in America for Polynesian. Like, just imagine you doing work for them, a massive TV, a network, Polynesian network, you're doing some work for them. So that was something that I've never thought of that I would accomplish, So I was pretty grateful for that. And then started getting to weddings. So I started to shoot weddings, editing other film creators' weddings, and so far it's been good.
No, that's great. And you said that was Allied Allied Eyewear?
Oh, L. So the letter L and dot eyes. Eyes.
L.eyes.
L.eyes, L.y, eyewear. So that was named after my mate's wife. Her name is L.eyes. Spelled A-L-L-I-E-S, L.eyes. But it's spelled, the company is spelled L.eyes. So my work, earlier work, you'll see, I did a short documentary. Yes, short documentaries I get into is what I get into as well. I did a short documentary, I think, last year or year before, about a Tongan flower guy. I'm not sure if you've seen that. It went viral. A lot of people just shared it. Like, it's just Tongan florist that just parks on the side of the road and just sells flowers for a living. So I've been driving past this Tongan man, every day for the past year, and I thought, oh, hey, I'll get a story on this guy and see who this guy was, and got to know him really well. And
So, and I just wanted to make sure that I got a proper plug with that too, because I said I didn't hear about it. Like, to be clear, I'm a rather uncultured person, so just because I ain't heard about it doesn't mean it ain't dope. It's like I'm just kind of uncultured and sheltered sometimes, but No, I've seen a lot of your some of your work that I've seen on
real
YouTube.
quick, just to piggyback off
yeah.
off the eyewear. You say they got some accessories to go along with that Genesis watch from Matai Watches that you're rocking right now. I see that thing just shining and looking good on you, man.
Yeah. Man, they've got a lot of good stuff. Once you go onto their website, they've got a lot of amazing stuff. Like you have to see it just to see, okay, these are awesome. So it's very popular here in Australia and New Zealand. So definitely check out the website. You'll see what they're all about.
So I think what I really like when you were introducing or giving us your intro and showing us how you got into the film thing is there's a lot of similarities that I can relate to with my journey to try to become a professional artist. Because so when I went to college, I was getting my degree in media arts and animation through the Art Institute of Las Vegas. And, one of the programs they had there, we had some filmmaking students, we had game design students, we had the animator students, graphic designers and things like that. We had a lot of the parallels that I heard is like, first of all, I needed to learn the technology because when it came to digital art, that's a newer thing that I was very unfamiliar with. And the interesting thing is, as I went through my art program, I started to notice that while attending the school was helpful and learning from my teachers was helpful, a lot of the resources that I needed to actually learn the tech and learn the skills were actually available to me online. And so, and the same went for a lot of the film students and things like that. The tutorials, how to use the software, how to use the tech, a lot of that's actually out there. So I've even been approached by people saying, hey, man, I want to get into art. What school should I go to or what program should I sign up for? And I said, well, honestly, I would start on YouTube. I'd start looking on YouTube and online because there's a lot of resources where we even had some students, and this isn't meant to throw any shade, but I attended school with some students that would show up to the classes, they get the grades, but they wouldn't put in the personal work and the hours on, bettering themselves. Like a lot of the actual attendance of school became secondary to how much you were willing to grind and put in your own time. And so from your story, it sounds very much like a self-made artist or a self-taught artist, which it's something that I try to convey to people who approach me about artwork saying, what school should I go to? I'm like, honestly, I think start with the internet because you'll probably save yourself a lot of money and learn a lot more by just, asking people online. And there's a lot of people online that are very generous with their time and willing to share that knowledge with people.
That's right. I 100% agree on that. There's a few, not a lot. There's just a very few of them that's willing to help give up their experience and knowledge to help others that's coming up. So, yeah.
Yeah, you mentioned traveling around and taking films and stuff. Could you tell us about that experience? Because not everyone can do that. Not everyone can afford to travel and shoot videos.
Travel isn't like as in travel. What do you mean?
Yeah, because I've seen you went to Thailand. Was it Thailand that you went to?
Yeah. Bali. Yeah, no, Bali. Yeah. So me and my wife went to Bali. It was for a holiday for us because I was in the process of upgrading my camera to the next level. But then I thought it's either that or I take me and my wife and have a break and we go holiday. So I decided, look, no, we'll go to Bali, Indonesia, and I took my camera with me, documented my travel. So it's like a mini vlog. I'm not much of a vlogger until I went there. It's just very tiring. I don't know if you have those shows here. Do you guys any interviews vlog for content and that kind of stuff?
No.
Holding the camera up, and just constantly talking, and man, that's a lot. It's a lot. It's draining, especially when it's hot, and you really want to enjoy the everything that's around you, because when you're filming, you're just more concentrating on what shots to get, and you're not enjoying your holiday as much. So I make sure I had to make sure that I had to enjoy myself as well as not just focusing on filming. Yeah, it was really good documenting our trip And so I did like a mini vlog. After I think 2-3 days, we were there for 2 weeks. I just got tired. I just got talking. So I started shooting after 2-3 days, after talking, here I am here at this place and this is what they do. And it's draining. I don't know how these bloggers do it, man, but I still have to edit. I've already pushed out snippets that you've probably seen on my Instagram, but, I've still got to put it all together once I get the time to edit out, these other works. So it was just amazing, like going out of something that we're not familiar with, obviously New Zealand, Samoa, we're used to, in that environment, but just going somewhere different, it was just unreal going to that, going to places that we've never been and experiencing the culture of the Balinese people and how they do things, They're very respectful, man, like how our Samoans, but they're very polite people, very awesome, rich, nice, beautiful culture. That's something that I was glad to take my camera and capture that. And so I'm looking forward to putting that all together, hopefully soon. But we'll see.
Yeah, and have you gotten to the point where you have your own team and you start delegating things? Because I know for a lot of us, business, whether it's business or podcast, we want to get to that point where everything's automatic. Have you gotten to that point?
No, not yet. No. So it's just me at the moment. But also my younger brother, he films as well. My younger brother, he does more of the music videos. So like if I can't be able to shoot, then I'll get him to do the shooting for me. But I think what you're referring to is a video production company. That's something. I'm a freelance right now at the moment, solo freelancer. But the goal is to be a video production company. So meaning like you have a team, or you have a studio, that kind of stuff. That's the goal that everyone wants to be at, So not yet, but it's something that I'm looking at. But I've got to understand and learn how to get there. There's a lot of information on YouTube as well on how, from going from a freelancer to starting a video production company. So that's where I want to be at, so it's progress, but, I'm enjoying what I'm doing at the moment. But for me to expand, obviously I want to build that team to get to that stage. So.
Yeah, and so far in your career, is there a moment where you consider a worst or a failure moment?
I think the lack of motivation I've been through. There were points where I told my wife, "Am I good enough?" It got to that point. I don't think my work is that good. Like I started to doubt myself. I even spoke to my friend that's in L.eyes eyewear. I was like, "Do you think that?" I sometimes think I'm not that good enough. And he says, "Bro, don't even think like that way." My wife says, "Don't be stupid. You'll look at your work, look at your resume, you look what you've done." So, I had doubts of there was a point I've lost the motivation. I was going to walk away from it and just go back to another farm job but yeah, I don't know. Well, a lot of us creators, when I speak to them, like they go through that stage where they just want to quit. The passion is just gone. Like, it's just job started. So I think it's good to have people around you that support you and, the people that's in the same industry as yourself, who you're able to talk to, keep encouraging you. So, I still keep going. Still here I am now. So still doing what I love to do. Still grateful for getting work. It's not easy in my industry as a freelance. It's like you're trying to find work every week. You have to consistently. So I'm just grateful that I'm just getting, work from editing other filmmakers' weddings. Just being asked to film events like weddings, birthdays, even sometimes funerals. So, but it's been really good so far. So I say if I'm not busy, say there's no work at all, what I'll do is I'll go to door dashing. I'm not sure if you have door dashing there.
Yeah, we do.
Yep. So that's something I haven't done that with actually for months, for a while now, because I've been busy. So that's something that I do because doing blue dashing is fixable, you know. Like if I get a shoot the next day, I can just stop what I'm doing and just go from that. So in a way, it's also good to have that peace of mind, because when you're on the computer editing, it's not easy. Like you consistently, you're mentally drained. I think at the stage where I am now, I am mentally drained and physically, because I'm constantly on editing, you know, hours and hours. So, but I'm grateful at the same time, because it's either that or I go to a 9 to 5, you know. But yeah, a lot of people, especially about our own people who want promotion videos, don't understand the process of how long it takes to edit videos. Like, just take an example, like they want you to come in to shoot a promo for a 1 minute, 60 seconds, right? So you think people who do not know the process might think, oh, it's only 60 seconds, probably just a 5-minute edit. Oh no, it can take to 4 to 8 hours, depending on the edits. Can take like 24 hours just to edit that 60 seconds. And what they don't realize is that it's not only the 60 seconds. You're there filming. You're going out, you know, for petrol or tolls. You're paying for high quality content. You know, you're paying for experience. So what I do is I educate people on what goes into filming brands. Like 60 seconds, even 30 seconds is a long time. You know, you could be filming a 30 second clip, but you'll be driving an hour somewhere just to get to that location, and you'll be filming for 2-3 hours. And when you get back, you know, you can take up to 4, 6, 8 hours just to film that, just to edit that 30 seconds. You know, you got to think of the music process. So you have to find the right music for the right feel of the brand, you know. And you know, especially like voiceover, so many things goes on. Like you're going through all of these snippets of videos that you've captured. You know, you got to go through hundreds of them, try to find the best shots, which ones to fit in. Yeah. So this is what I do, especially when it comes to our people who want promotional brands. I do break it down for them, because before I got into it, when someone shot our wedding, you know, I wasn't into the film industry back then. You know, this videographer who lives here, you know, a lot of respect for them. So, you know, I've looked up to him for help, asking questions and that, and thinking, why is the price for a 5-minute video like $3,000? Why is it $3-4 for 5 minutes? Not noticing that he was at my wedding for 8 hours. You know, we don't see that side. We just think, well, we just want a 5-minute highlight of our wedding day, but they don't understand. You're spending they've dedicated their time, hours, years into their craft. You're not paying for a 5-minute. You're paying for experience. You know, that brand name that you know that's been popping around. Like, have you heard of that company that does really well? So, it's not until I got into it, I said to my wife, man, I feel sorry for them. Also, now I understand paying. You know, it was through mutual friends. Like, you know, I paid $300 for a 5-minute video, and I just didn't understand. It was really nice, and I said, you know, not until I got into this industry, I was like, man, that guy was there for 8 hours. You know, how long it takes. You know, if it takes long for minutes, for 4 to 6 hours, depending on the edit, imagine how long it takes to do weddings. So the way the process of weddings is we do 8 hours a day. So weddings can take, depending on the wedding, it could take 3 to 7 days to edit, because you got to work around family. You got to work around, you know, maybe other projects that you've had. You know, things are always popping up. So I thought that's something I should bring up as well, because a lot of our people, you know, it's always our own. They'll bring us down like, oh, this guy's too expensive. I've learned to decline work because of they want to pay a lower rate. So I've learned that from other videographers that's lost the passion, that's been used a lot because of this nice person that was just shooting, you know, videos for a cheap price, and you know, I'm not paying what they're worth. So I think that's why when I saw that, I made sure I didn't stress over that. So, hey, this is my rate. I know that's fine. Sorry, I cannot help you with this one, but I'll find someone that's coming up, that's beginner or semi-pro, that for what you want to pay.
Yeah, that was just I was just kind of laughing when you were talking about that grind, because I know if there's anybody on here that can relate to that editor grind, it's Michael. You know, he sometimes he stumbles in like, hey, these podcasts don't just happen, you know.
Yeah.
I know he puts in a lot of work behind the scenes to make this happen. So Michael feels your pain for sure. What were you saying, Ati?
No, I was just about to say the same thing. And, you know, like, I'm glad I'm not behind doing all the editing. And I know that was one of the things that you mentioned on that one of your YouTube videos that we watched. But I could relate exactly to what you're talking about. And it's funny, when I first got out the military, I didn't know what I wanted to do. So I started out of nowhere, just started a janitorial company, a cleaning business. So, you know, well, what I did in the military, I was in the medical field. And when I got out, I didn't even know what I wanted to do. So, I mean, of course, you could have went to school, started another job. I wanted to be my own guy. I want to be my own boss. So, you know, I got out, started a janitorial company, and all the headaches that you're talking about, trying to figure out how am I going to price out, the jobs? How am I going to figure out how to do the taxes? Want to figure out how to, get jobs or try to secure contracts from businesses and residences. And so one of the things that I think now I'm looking back on it was that I sold myself short in the fact that I was getting a lot of business, but the price that I was pricing my contracts out was not to the level where I was clean. And for example, like now that I look at it, like a regular residence job, like maybe a 2-bedroom house, you charge, on the market now is about like $180 to $200. I was charging, lowballing all the other, I was charging everybody like, hey, $50 and I'll clean your house for you. I was getting so much business, but the thing is, I wasn't making enough money, to come up to meet the demand. So I got to understand what you're coming to, and I think what you're kind of explaining is that burnout. It's called a burnout process, where you're in it, you're in the grind, you're doing it every single day, same thing over and over. And I'm glad that you mentioned that you go off for you got the list, and that's kind of like that takeaway. But at the same time, aside from that, I know you kind of started your business. Can you run a little bit to the point where you started being profitable? I know you started in 2018, and then 19. I know you were doing a lot of stuff for free. How important was that to get the Parker name out there? For the listeners. What was that? What was your business process? To the point where then you became actually profitable. Because of course you took out a loan, and then your wife was like, "Hey, your camera's sitting on the." Sitting there for a while. So at what point did you start being profitable, and then you just went all in on it?
Yeah. So as I guess when you start off this year, you have to do free stuff, right? Like you got to do free stuff for a bit, and then eventually when you start getting a little bit better, then you start charging. You start charging like $300. That's when your content is okay. Like you're just starting out. So you do have to do free stuff until you see me better. It's not until when I connected with L.eyes Eyewear and I did that promo video, and that was where my quality began, shot off. So I was charging a low price, because I didn't understand the pricing part until I asked another also that's pretty experienced in this field, and I said, this 1 minute video, man, it took me 8 hours, ages, well, even longer to edit, like, how much does this type of thing cost? I shot for 2 hours. He goes, oh man, from this top of what I've seen, easy from 1,000 up. So from that point, that's when I start to understand. A lot of people don't like to talk about the pricings and that kind of stuff. That's fine. But I like to help out where I can, because I understand when I started off, I was asking, how much do you guys charge? These guys that I connected to, they told me, what the prices are, like I never understood, just pay what I charge what you're worth. I never understood that, when you're coming up. Now we're in the position now, I understand now what you're worth. So since that promo video I started with L.eyes Eyewear, I started to, just through, just asking, experienced people that's in the same industry. Hey man, what do you think? What's your honest opinion on this? What's the pricing? So after that, just keep going up and up. And look, it's not always easy for people to come up with that kind of money. It is expensive. But I do educate them, because I remember before I came into it, also that did my wedding. I was like, $300, maybe that's too expensive. Even that. Even I was like, man, $300. Yeah, do you reckon that's all right? Oh, yeah, it's all right. For 5 minutes, yeah, it should be all right. But so it's honestly, money. No one has that kind of money all the time just to splash on their business. So I just remember back when I got my wedding done, and I just remembered that like I didn't have no knowledge of how much work goes into to filming and editing. So when I get people say, oh, that's too expensive, and then I just break it down for them. Okay, so I'm filming for 2 hours. Okay, so your location is about 30 minutes drive. Okay, so the gear that I'm using, so the experience, you have a look at my resume, my work, you're seeing what you're like, and then the time, the editing is where the hard work is. That's where the amount of hours goes into. So I break it down for our people, why I charge this and that. And even conversating with other filmmakers, we always talk about the same thing. We always laugh about, oh man, they just want to lowball us, and they don't want to pay this. These rappers don't want to pay this. They fix their money in the music videos, but they don't want to pay. But, so look, this is why it's good to have this community with other people in the industry that support each other, And so that's where I progressed in my knowledge, not only YouTube, but just asking through other film creators, for them to give them their time, what they charge, they've worked, for years to get to where they are. And, when you're a beginner coming up, you're just coming up and say, hey, how do you do this? Some don't want to share, but some do. Like for me, I remember I was asking questions. I was trying to look for other videographers to go out and shoot with them. So, I understand. So when someone comes up, I'm just going to tell them straight up, like, this is how much I charge. I'll tell you what you're worth now, because depending on your quality level, I'll be honest with you. But if I say, oh, that's sick use, but really he's a beginner, he ain't going to learn. You got to say nice things. You're not helping that person. You got to be straight up. Okay, so you're at the beginner stage. You shouldn't be charging anything at the moment. Just keep doing some more free videos, and I'll tell you how much, based on my experience, So, just being straight up and to be honest, and if you really want to help someone, let's take it to a level.
That pricing thing. The pricing thing is a real struggle. It's the one that I'm still trying to figure out myself, because it's like, even just for artwork, like the nice thing is that sometimes family can be your biggest supporters, but that can also be like the big problem too, because then they're also your biggest customers. And I'm a sucker. Like, I'm a terrible businessman is what I've learned trying to get into this stuff myself, because it's hard for me to charge what I know I'm worth to a family member, and then and they'll be the ones to promote you and get your stuff out there. And then maybe ideally they've got a friend or somebody who's like, hey man, your brother's good at drawing. Hey, can he draw this and that? And I'll give them a price, and they'll be like, oh, can you hook me up with a discount since I'm friends with your sister or something like that? And I'm just like, that is the discount, man. And it's like, it's a struggle. And the thing is, that's why I said I suck at business, because it's like, when it kind of even when friends or family are hitting me up and even offering to pay for my services, it's hard for me to even honestly charge them what I know I'm worth. And so it's like, there's a point where I try to reach a market that isn't reliant on that. And actually that's something I wanted to ask you about. What do you think is what have you found to be your best way to self-promote? Like, is it through social media? Is it word of mouth? Is it like just going in person and meeting people saying, hey, I want to cut this. Here's my resume. What's worked for you? Because for me, I've kind of exclusively stuck with social media, but depending on the platform, it kind of comes in waves. Sometimes platforms work really well. Sometimes my account is basically dead. So what's work for you in your business?
Social media, definitely. Just me producing work. The more work I put out, the more experience I got. It just got people talking, and that's straightforward. It was like social media and people, messaging through and getting quotes and that kind of stuff. So they've seen my logo around. Like I started to print out T-shirts. I think everyone was doing T-shirts, like doing their brands thing. So I started to just promote myself, just like selling T-shirts. I didn't even think. I think someone just said to me, "Oh, how much is your T-shirt? Can you do it?" Like, I thought, oh, okay, cool. I'll print out tees. I haven't been doing any, but I mean, you want to buy my T-shirt? So I was surprised the amount of support that I got. I've done a whole heap of tees, and surprised just seeing the love and support from people in my community, and from different states, from New Zealand, and that was pretty cool. But social media has been a big help, just about the amount of work that I've done. And I think that'll be it. And word of mouth, obviously you see your work, and then it gets shared around, and then, it comes on someone's stories or, on newsfeed, and then, that's how I got my work around.
Yeah, you mentioned passion and having that feeling that if your work is good enough, the product is it good enough for the public. I can totally relate to that, because in 2014 I picked up a camera and became a photographer, and before pre-COVID, that's when it totally stopped. My passion for photography, I didn't want to pick up a camera anymore. I just stopped. And now only my wife does photography, and I sometimes support her. And it's mainly because, what you mentioned, people haggling the prices, lowballing you, and, your self-esteem in your careers, it has a mental effect on you. So for me, my passion for photography, it just stopped. I don't want to do anything with it. So it's a good thing that I picked up a podcast, because it's totally helped me, and it probably helped the rest of the crew. And from time to time, I still feel that imposter syndrome, where I think, are we good enough to put out a podcast? Because, sometimes we get negative comments. Sometimes, especially for me when I'm editing and trying to produce a good product, I'm here listening hours on each record, trying to balance everything. I totally feel that burnout when I'm editing, because I use the script and DaVinci Resolve to edit my stuff.
That's nice.
So I can relate to what you're saying on all that aspect of being an editor and shooting your own videos. So my next question is, what do you wish you had known when you first started in being a film director?
Well, what I wish now is learning lighting. Lighting is the most important. Like, I didn't understand it till, honestly, maybe late last year or early this year. No, I think late last year. I didn't quite understand, like, why is their film look like this? Like, how do I get that look? So lighting is the key to filming, to understand lighting. Like, example, like, I used to always suggest to clients, okay, we'll shoot at midday. It's the worst time when it's harsh lighting. You don't want to shoot when it's harsh lighting. You would hope that with these clouds, which would make the lighting softer. So it's just like you see those those dome lights. They set up the dome lights, so the sun is inside. The white sheet that you see outside is the clouds. So the softer the light, the better. So, but I didn't know that until I will meet him, 12 o'clock because, I don't like shooting early hours in the morning because, I like to sleep in. But I was just thinking, why is my image is not looking right? So until YouTube again, lighting is important. You can have the best camera, you can have a $100,000 camera, but if you don't shoot in the condition, that you're not going to get that quality look. So that's what I've learned. I was like, man, I wish I've been in it for 2022, since 2008. So I really kicked it off at 2019, mid 2019. That's where I started to pursue it. So 2018, I just bought it, I did 2 projects, and I just left it then. So I wish I knew lighting earlier. So that's a good question too. So now I shoot either early hours in the morning, so like 5 in the morning, or in the afternoon where it's like, blue hour, golden hour, 4 or 5. Here in Australia, 4 or 5 o'clock, that's when the sunlight goes down. It's really light. So I never ever shoot in the afternoon. If I have to, because of the client's time, that's the only time, then hey, that's fine. But I do tell them, look, I do suggest now, before, okay, let's shoot at midday. But lighting is very important. Understanding lighting when you're outside, but now when you're inside, I need a lot more lighting equipment. Like I've only just got one source of light with the big dome, with the light stand. So there's so many light. Like I can make an image look really nice with a cheap camera, but as long as your lighting is correct and how you set it up, I can use a mobile phone. I'll shoot a mobile phone and I'll make the area, depending on the lighting situation, I can make it look like really good. It's all about lighting. So those are the 2 things: is your camera settings, exposure, and lighting. Those 2 have to work together.
Yeah, it's funny because when I was doing my photo shoots, I only shoot during golden hour, and that's 1 hour before the sun sets.
Yeah. See, and I didn't get that. I don't know. I didn't get that. I was like, why does your image look better? Your footage looks better than mine. Like, it looks, my image looks funny. I don't understand, but I think I asked some of the guys, but they didn't really say. Until I found out on YouTube, do not shoot during the harsh daylight. Shoot in the golden hour. Like you're saying. I was like, oh, there you go. Now I shoot in those conditions.
Would you say, so with that being your big takeaway on taking the next step in your craft, would you say that there are any specific filmmakers that you find to be like filmmakers, directors, cinematographers that you draw inspiration from, where you see their work and you're like, I want to aspire to be like that, get on that level? Anybody that brings you inspiration in your craft?
That for sure, man. Like, for me, it will be the people that's been doing it for a lot longer than I have, or that in my community, in my area, because I don't want to say names, because if I say some person's name, then I might forget the others, and then I might think, hey, didn't I help you? So, guys, girls and boys, if I've connected through message, I'm talking about you guys. So, first, then the guys that they're here in Brisbane, Australia. They've been a big help. They've been an inspiration when I was coming up, seeing their work, and I was like, man, I don't think I've actually worked. Like, there's only one other guy that I work with, but like I said, I don't want to say one name and then I'll forget the others. So you know who you are, but in terms of like someone outside directors, they're honestly, these guys are on YouTube. Like these guys like travel and like cinematic type of looks. Like there are a lot of YouTube influencers that travel around the world. Like I would love, that will be a dream. It's just to work and travel. I would love to do that. There's a lot of guys on YouTube that do this for a living. They travel around the world. You know how when they say, "Oh, this video is sponsored by this and that," like, that would be something for me to do. But for now, I'm just taking a step at a time and see. Like I would love, like I said earlier, like I would love to have a video production company. But it's just knowing how to do it. The right people. How do you get started? So I guess that's like a research that I have to do on my own and go from there.
See, my dream job would have been, I'm like 2 decades too late for something like this. My dream job was stolen because I had an idea for a show where I would travel all around the world and eat food at, great restaurants, and I'd have a camera crew follow me around and be like, "Hey, what do you think of that food?" But Food Network already stole that from me. Members Food, so we got too oversaturated at this point, so it ain't gonna happen. So I gotta find something else to do.
No, hey, it's never too late. Look, I'm 39 years old right now. I wish I started this when I was 20. These young cats are like 16 years old. Really teens that's coming up, and I was like, man, they got a bright future ahead of them. They're in their 20s even, Well, I'm 39. So like, I just wish I started earlier. But it's just like, again, it was the knowledge. Like, I thought you'd have to have this big Hollywood setup. But when I saw something on YouTube that was done by the small camera, you only had to buy this. I'm still using the same camera that I first bought when I first started my journey. It's produced a lot of good work for me. So, I mean, I didn't think you can produce that type of video with this type of, because I'm used to seeing big, production cameras like the Hollywood setup. I thought that you'd have to have those kind of setup, but yeah.
On your gear, real quick, like the camera, how much that costs, just for, the viewers, see whoever's interested, like what type you got there, model or whatever.
So this camera is 2017 when it came out. This one. So it was $5,000 all up. Like, it was just a lens, the body, not the stuff here, but the battery and the memory cards. That was it. It was really expensive, but it's cheaper now, obviously, because there's new cameras that's out. But I got this because of YouTuber that I like. It's a Lumix GH5, but I'm hoping to go up to the Sonys. For those who work with the Lumix GH5, are you familiar with the Lumix GH5? Any of you familiar with this?
I'm not too familiar with any cameras personally. I got the camera on my phone.
So there's no autofocus. So I've never used autofocus, so it's manual focus. So when you're moving forward, you can't manual focus. It's hard to manual focus with this one. But with the Sonys and everything, and the new cameras that's out, when you walk towards a subject, it stays locked in focus. So the camera that I got, you really got to work hard. It's hard to it's a lot longer. The new cameras up now, it's a lot easier. So a lot easier to work with. So I'm hoping to go to the Sonys hopefully soon, depending on the more work, but it does the job. Like I said, you can use any camera. It's just how you use it, the knowledge and the lighting situations. You just got to know your camera really well. Yeah, and the editing, get better at the editing process as well. Like color grading is a big thing for me.
I was going to ask, I know you talked about the struggles of, paying for Premiere and things like that. Are you still using Premiere? I think you mentioned you found some free software, alternative softwares for your craft. Like, what are you using now when it comes to editing your videos?
Oh, no, so Premiere, I've never used Premiere. I've looked into it, but because you had to pay a subscription, so I've never used it. So I use DaVinci Resolve. So I looked on the internet, free software, So that's when I was starting out. I don't want to pay subscription. So I found DaVinci Resolve. So I've always stuck with DaVinci Resolve because their free version, you get to do a whole edit, I've been on the free version for like two or 3 years. And it's not until recently I upgraded to the studio. I was getting a lot more work and I was able to afford. It's just a one-off payment. It's free upgrade for life. A lot of people from Premiere Pro, long-time users, are switching to DaVinci now. So it's getting more popular. I think Premiere Pro and After Effects got better. There's cool effects where DaVinci Resolve, it's a lot longer to do rather than, there's a lot more tutorials on those cool effects, those transitions on YouTube. Well, as DaVinci Resolve is still developing in those graphics effects, like it's hard to find a real good one compared to the Premiere Pro users and After Effects.
Yeah, I was able to learn a bit about Premiere Pro and After Effects when I was, I had to edit some videos when I was doing my degree, and I still try to do storyboarding or animatics and things like that. Those were fun programs, but as soon as I was done with school, I realized, I had free access to those programs because I was a student, or they even had like a special pricing for students. And as soon as I wasn't a student no more, and I was like getting to look at the full price, I'm like, man, yeah, okay, so I'm not using these anymore. But I think sometimes some of those bigger companies, the only way they stay afloat is because schools exclusively use those programs, and big studios will just get them, wholesale and use them as a tax write-off later. But even with drawing software, I don't use Photoshop no more because I can't, I don't want to pay that subscription. And then like some animators and illustrators created alternate programs like Krita, like it's just as good, free, or actually what I use the most nowadays is Procreate on my iPad, which my family always gives me a hard time because I don't get an iPhone, but I don't usually like Apple products, but I do like my iPad as my go-to digital drawing tool. And Procreate was a $10 app, like one-time payment, and it's a great app for drawing. And so, finding these alternative apps outside of the big, industry standard ones is vital. I know there's a lot of great alternatives out there to do it yourself.
How awesome.
Anything you wanted to plug, anything that you wanted to let people know to look forward to, projects you've got coming up or anything?
At this stage, I'm just taking it like week by week at the moment, just getting word from editing other people's footages. Got something coming up next year, probably with Matai Watches, but I can't confirm it at the moment. But that's in talks. It's that's another highlight of this Matai Watches. That's definitely another highlight of my career. It's just working with them, because when I saw these guys come out, and I was like, man, they'll be cool for me. I already had an idea, like they'll be cool to shoot something for them, So it started off with just commenting on their stuff and liking their stories, and then they reached out, hey, we're keen on coming up to Brisbane. They're from Sydney, so they drove up here. It's about 8-hour drive. So they came up there, and then man, we pushed out these three series for the women's that's coming out. So I'm sure the last one that you would have seen recently. So all of those videos were edited early last month. So so there's something in the works with Matai Watches in the future. So pretty exciting for that. Not confirmed yet, but I just can't wait to work with those again. And so I've got a product shoot that I have to do for the watches and the women's watches. So that's something I'm going to do, a product shoot.
Yeah, that was some amazing work that you've done for Matai Watches. I know you for most of your videos, I've seen that you've been telling the stories for other people, and I'm glad that we got the opportunity to bring you on our podcast, and so we can tell a little bit more about you, Dave Parker. And I have a 2-part question before Spencer closes this out. And where can our listeners find you on social media? And if we were to take you out in Australia, what is your favorite food for our listeners? To like take you out, what's your favorite food?
So for the listeners, you can find me on Instagram. I'm on Instagram and Facebook. So Instagram, Parker Films _ Instagram, and Facebook, just search Parker Films. I'm on YouTube and TikTok as well. TikTok, I just post and then just go off from there. I'm more Instagram. That's where I communicate more. Like on TikTok, I comment when people reply to my videos, but TikTok is another platform. I try to be on every platform just to promote myself. So, but mainly Instagram. And favorite food, oh man, so many. I mean, there's KFC and there's Grubby's. Grubby's, it's a popular burger place that's here in Brisbane. Like, it's the best, man. So if you guys are ever in Brisbane, Grubby's is the best burgers. It's also that owns it. Samoan dude.
That's awesome. That place sounds good for real. I was like, I'm always down for another burger place. That's my favorite food. So,
no, honestly, man, thanks for having me, guys. I really enjoyed watching you guys when you guys interviewed Matai. I think, your questions, it's made it more interesting to stay locked in. So I thought I'd give that feedback on what you guys are asking. So it's pretty cool. Like, I'm not a podcast type of person, just being locked into what you guys are asking. You're asking interesting questions, and it made me learn a lot more about Matai Watches, about Nick and also Andrew, just by what you guys are asking. It was good to understand more about these guys and just how you guys are, doing your thing, man. It's you just making it interesting with your questions. You're asking the right questions and relate to one another, So I think it's an awesome thing.
Appreciate it, man. That's pretty good constructive feedback, right there.
For sure. Yeah, and thank you so much, because this is something that we just really enjoy doing. I think I'd have to say that's one of my personal favorite aspects about being part of this podcast is just connecting the global Polynesian community, like getting to just hear their stories and getting to learn from them. People like yourself and Nick and Andrew, like, got these great stories that kind of keep us all inspired. And so we appreciate it. It's our pleasure to share that with you all.
Awesome. Thank you. Thank you so much.
All right. Well, thank you for joining us, Dave. We really appreciate you being a part of this and sharing your stories with us. We'll be sure to check you out and support you. And everybody, thank you for listening. This has been Behind the Lava Lava. I'm glad to be back. I know I've been MIA for a few weeks, and I really did miss it. Thank you to all my fellow cast members for holding it down and welcoming me back. And so please continue to join us, and you can find us on Spotify, Instagram, Facebook, all the places that you want to find us on social media and for your podcast listening needs. We will catch you again later, and we appreciate the support. Tofasi Fua.